All right, so let's talk about the use of strong subjects. This is kind of a easy rule to remember. So basically, you just need to remember three things. So in the subject section, it's not necessarily always the first word, but in the subject section of the sentence, if you see the word there, it, or nominalization, it's automatically going to be wrong. So let me define what a nominalization is. So basically, it's any verb that ends in ion. So, for example, um, experimentation, um, consideration, or cooperation. Um, these like verbs that turn into nouns are not necessarily strong subjects. So try to avoid those, not only in the test but also in your writing as well, because that is such a it's kind of a different way of thinking, but it really does make your writing stronger. So let's look at some example sentences that I have here. So if we look at here, let's not look at this uh, answer right now, but let's go through the answers. So A, there are more than 150 attractions at all four parks in Disney World. B, it is important that we make fast passes for our trip to Disney World. C, we must go through a travel agent to get the best deals for our trip to Florida this year. And D, the rationalization of our spontaneous Disney trip must not be discussed with our boss. So I know that I need to avoid there and it. So let's get rid of the easy questions. So A is definitely out because there are, that is the subject. So let's cross that out. B, B is automatically wrong because it right here is in the subject area. And I know that we is a strong subject, so we'll keep it. And then D, the rationalization. Oh, ION right here. All right, this is automatically wrong too. All right, so I know A, B, and D are wrong. Let's see C. Let's read it one more time. We must go through a travel agent to get the best deals for our trip to Florida this year. All right, I am sticking to it because in the subject section, it has a strong subject, we, opposed to their, it, and I when, nominalization. Let's see if that's right. Yep, the answer is C. Cool. Let's go through another example right here. So let's read these through. So identify the sentence that best supplies sentence structure guidelines. So A, Shane, when he was a young boy, dreamed of going to Disneyland. Okay, okay. B, with the rise of the summer months, there will be an increase in park guests. Okay. C, the Disney trip that was planned years ago was postponed because of my sister's illness. And then D, after saving our money for a vacation, my family decided to take a trip to Disney. So, this is kind of weird because a lot of these have strong subjects. Well, um, let's see. B, the reason why B is wrong is because with the rise of the summer months, that's kind of a dependent clause or introductory phrase. That's good. But in the next clause or in the next kind of statement, the subject in the statement is actually there. So there will be an increase in park guests. I know B is automatically wrong because that doesn't use a strong subject. Another thing to look for when this is like questions 9 through about 11, I think, is to look for something called a subject verb proximity. And we'll kind of go deeper into that in 2C. But basically, you want to have the subject and verb very close together. So if you look at A, Shane, when he was a young boy, dreamed of going to Disneyland. I mean, grammatically correct, that is grammatically correct, but in terms of the subject verb proximity, it is not correct. So it should just say, Shane dreamed of going to Disneyland when he was a young boy. That would sound more natural. And the Shane dreamed is the verb, Shane is the subject. So that's why those two things go close together, equaling a strong subject. And then last, so A is out, B is out. Let's see C or D. So C, the Disney trip that was planned years ago was postponed because my sister's illness. It's kind of the same thing on the subject verb proximity. I know it's kind of annoying, but you could just say the Disney trip was postponed because of my sister's illness. It was planned years ago, just making it into a separate sentence or something like that. So C is automatically wrong because of the subject verb proximity. So looking at D's our best shot, but let's see if we got it. So after saving our money for a vacation, my family decided to take a trip to Disney. Okay, so the introductory phrase, after saving our money for a vacation, correct? My family. Strong subject, okay. My family decided to take a trip to Disney. So I would say, even though the rest are technically grammatically correct, D is the one that best supplies sentence guideline structures, or structure guidelines. So let's see if we're right. Yep, and the answer is D. So if you remember two things in this section, so the subject verb proximity and also using weak subjects, don't use weak subjects, you should be fine in this section of the test.